This was one of those campaigns where you come back to the table and there's just a lot of catching up to do. Hey everybody, this is D and Mike, and today is Campaign Diary number 9, I believe I'm right, number 9 of Hoard of the Dragon Queen. And this is after a hiatus. We took like a month off. I was moving. Matter of fact, this is all new. I'm in a new house, brand new construction actually. Interesting being in a neighborhood that's not even developed yet, but I had to take some time off, and D&D had to just take a little bit of a hiatus. But that's okay. Sometimes you need those kind of things. Life changes. But now we're getting back into it. And we just played last Friday, and I want to say it was. I don't mean this in a derogatory sense. Don't get me wrong. It was just the mediocre. It was just average. It was an average game. There's nothing exciting, super exciting that happened. If you're trying to graph out all the entertainment and the battles, matter of fact, there was only one battle, and we crescendoed on it at the end. But yeah, it was just kind of a straightforward adventure. I think the issue was there was a lot of catching up, and we needed to figure out where everybody was going and what we were doing. So if you watched the radio drama, you know exactly where we started. We started at the Dragon Hatchery, and this is exactly, I picked up immediately after the radio drama. Frulam is outside at the campsite holding her staff out, and she's looking out to the sunrise. A lot has changed. A lot of problems have arisen out of this. And all the characters kind of came out of the cave one by one, and they made a decision pretty quickly to go to El Terrell. Now we had a bit of a split. Most of the characters went to El Terrell. One character in particular, our thief Thembraeus, went to Greenest because he had a payment due. Thieves Guild knew that was his last location, so they dropped off a payment for him to go pick up. And also he had a dagger that he was having worked on by the blacksmith in the area from some dragon scales that he had found during the attack. Because when Linathan was hit, definitely some scales fell off, some things, there was some damage there. So anyway, so we kind of had this kind of one character going this way, 5 characters going this way. But here we got Frulam in the group now. And if anything in this last session, I think there was just a lot of tension and backbiting. I mean, because Frulam is there, and she has turned her back on the cult, but it doesn't mean that she is an angel. It doesn't mean that, she's actually walking around pretty terrified because she knows the scope and the reach of the arm of the cult. And there are tensions. There were tensions in the group. Most people, I think, were, comfortable with her. I think Pax is comfortable. I think the Althea is just fine with her. She's kind of either or with her. But Storm, I think Storm has Frulam's back. I think they are connecting. I can see from a character perspective in that world, Frulam and Storm really coming close to one another. I don't know about Storm's character perhaps, but I think Frulam, she's got her walls up, she's got her defenses up. This group right now is the only people she knows now outside of the cult, and the cult could be hunting her down, which is what she feels, what she's expecting. She's expecting to be killed at some point, anywhere at any time. So there were some tensions there, mostly with our ranger. Our ranger, Mortimer, sees an opportunity here. As a matter of fact, when they got to El Terrell, they're kind of going around the city. A lot from the last battle, the Berserkers and Lang de Drosa took some massive hits on some of these characters. So when we started out the adventure, several of them were down on their AC. I think Storm was down a -2, and our Pax, our cleric, was down -3 in her armor class because she had taken some heavy hits. And Frulam's armor was completely destroyed by Lang de Drosa. So she had nothing. She just had kind of her leather, I don't want to say shirts, clothing underneath, not much to protect her. She still had her staff and a short sword and stuff, but that was it. So when they got to El Terrell, there were some things that had to be done. So there's a lot of negotiations about the goods they have and exchanging things. There were some coins and stuff they got from the Dragon Hatchery. They went to the Thieves Guild, Thimbraeus, when he finally got to El Terrell, and did an exchange. And of course, exchange rates were much lower because it's a trade area and things are going for much higher prices. So when they went to go buy new armor, and I think in both cases, I think they both bought brand new armor because it was just so expensive to try to replace it. So they ended up getting new armor, and of course the prices were a lot higher there compared to if they were to shop in Greenest. So they kind of went through that, but in that moment, Frulam's there. She has to buy. She has no money. She didn't have any money. She left the Dragon Hatchery. She left her place. So Storm spotted her on the money. Matter of fact, he just took care of everything. So they got her a new set of armor, which reflects her new image. I picked this image here for Frulam. I really did not like the image of Frulam in the book. I don't know. There was something wonky about her face. I think the artist, something wasn't quite right about that design. Maybe they were in a haste and they just approved it and they didn't have time to go redo it. But I felt like something was kind of off in the design. But regardless, I liked the other image better. So that's her in her new armor. She's no longer wearing this purple armor. Matter of fact, they had a discussion outside the Dragon Hatchery. Like, are you going to wear this stuff? And she was like, no, I cannot wear these purple cloaks. Even the cloak itself, that's all it remains, because I could be spotted. The cult is everywhere. It's infiltrated in a lot of places. This will be a calling card. They'll become looking for me, and they'll wonder why the hell I'm with you guys. It'll all fall apart. But anyway, we're at El Terrell, and one of the issues is Mortimer, a ranger, and he has an issue with, of course, Frulam. He wants to know about Alban. If you've listened to his radio drama, his character introduction, which I think is number 3, you'll know a little bit about that. Alban destroyed his group. And this whole adventure, he's been trying to find this person. And he hoped Frulam would have information. Frulam does not have that information. He knows a little bit about him, but she doesn't know everything. And this is a calculated thing by the cult. Not everybody knows everything. They know of other lieutenants and different things, but where they're stationed, what's going on, not necessarily. They want to keep it separate in case things like this happen. Frulam is captured, but she wasn't. She just converted. But, in case they get captured. So there was a tense moment between Frulam and Mortimer, as Mortimer's kind of like put his arms around her, and she was like, what the hell? She was looking at him, giving a strange look as he kind of starts to lead her to an alley and pulling out his dagger and, trying to be, just like as if he was casually just talking about a dagger with a friend. But Frulam jerked and stopped as they approached the alley because she knew she's a warrior. She knows she's about to be set up. And they have this kind of heated exchange about Alban. Mortimer's frustrated because she doesn't know a lot. She doesn't know an exact location of Alban. But he did get a lot of information from her as far as who he was. And he's like this ex-paladin. He's a dark cavalier. He's converted. He used to be a red knight, which is something to do with my campaign. And that he's a butcher. He's ruthless. And yes, the cult has employed his services. He's also been spotted in Flan, which Flan has also been taken over by the Cult of the Dragon. So that seemed to quell Mortimer a little bit. And he seemed to be, okay, that gives me at least something to work with. All right. But so there was some tense moments there. But they all kind of were supposed to meet Leoslin at a particular place, and they all kind of eventually get there. As they're going around the city, a small falcon or a crow lands on Storm's shoulder. And that's the crow has a little tiny thing, parchment paper wrapped around its leg. So it's a messenger. He opens it up, and they end up meeting this woman here. Well, he does. The seductive Lady in Silk, Zaylin Maw. She is the Thieves Guild, one of the Thieves Guild's main leaders. She is the guild leader. And Storm was employed by one of her people, but employed by Zaylin Maw. And when they found out that Lane de Drosa, a dragon knight, a very powerful dragon knight who had been attacking their supply lines and all this was destroyed, she wanted to personally meet the person who brought down Lane de Drosa and also personally reward him. So there was this whole kind of interlude that took place inside of her carriage outside of the inn in the evening. And, Storm ended up telling her everything. She hired him again for information. There was no one else to hunt at this moment, but she wanted information about the cult because she knows the cult is getting big. She knows the cult is reaching out, and it's in her best interest almost to stop it But she hasn't made a move just yet, besides, well, the killing of Lang Drosa. But anyway, so Storm actually, which I was kind of surprised, I wasn't too sure how much information he would tell Zaylin, but he ended up telling everything. So because of just this overwhelming amount of information, she rewarded him big time. 1,000 gold pieces for the amount of information he dumped on her. So I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that kind of reward. I was not expecting, for him to say that much. So I think I rewarded quite well because like I said, I've devalued gold in my campaign, so it's not being handed out like crazy. So that was a jackpot moment. So anyway, he is still being employed by Zaylin Maw and this guild, and now is kind of working for them, as a contractor, but working for them. So anyway, this is going to be a short campaign diary, I think. But anyway, they kind of meet together, and there's some tension at the table inside the inn as they're waiting for Leoslin, because now they have a new fae. This one here, they call her Clover. This is her. I don't know. This is a pseudo name for her because faes don't give away their names to just anybody because they have to bond with that person if they give a name. She has bonded with our cleric. I'm sorry, our druid, but nobody else. So Althea and the Fae had a conversation, and it actually got heated again at the table because, the Fae wanted to know exactly what happened. How did Cricket get into this mess? And she discovered that two of the guys at the table were captured, and they didn't, in her mind, did not protect her as they should have. They put her in a very bad situation and made it worse. And our druid was really pissed. Even as she was telling the story, she's mad. Not as a player, but as a character. And she gets so mad, and so does the Fae, like, what the hell? She's just outraged by what happened. They ended up leaving the table and going to another table, sitting down. They had to get away from the situation. So if I could describe the night was tension. I mean, just little bits of tension here and there. Well, they eventually meet Leoslin, and he kind of quickly comes in, tells them where they're going to meet, which is this tower. It's an old tower outside the city, not too far out of the city, but it's been abandoned. It's being rebuilt, right? It's being refurbished. But right now it looks like crap. It's just crumbling. It needs work. So they are meeting there. Gives them a little map to how to get there. There's nothing really special, just how to get to the tower. And so they show up at the tower. And this is another moment of just great tension because they come up. Leoslin's there, Onathar the dwarf. Maybe I'll put some images up, but if you're playing the campaign, these people are. But they come up, and Furlan has a cloak on. Like, she knows, as soon as he walks in, she just knows the crap is going to hit the fan. And of course, it does. Leoslin looks up, and here is the very woman that tortured him. The very woman that captured him and was going to kill him the next day is now in a secret location with the people that he hired to take care of all this stuff. And she is now kind of meeting with some of the main people of the resistance, people that are actually kind of trying to go up against the cult. And there's outrage. There's absolute outrage. And long story short, there's a lot of bickering and fighting back and forth. Of course, Onathar, I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm probably not. But the dwarf was a little caught off guard, like, who is this? What? Why are you so mad? So it all came out, and they kind of settled on. Leoslin got tight-lipped. He didn't want to talk about things because we got a lieutenant from the cult. Well, he gets tight-lipped, and they decide to disarm her. Right? They say, if anything, please take your weapons. How do we know she's not a spy? All this stuff. Well, what quells a little bit of that situation is, yes, they disarm her, but also she gives up what she knows about the castle. Castle Nayatar. I don't know how the heck you say this, but the castle. And she kind of spills the beans about what she knows, where it's at, the Mirror of Dead Men, how deadly it is there. But she doesn't know how it's all set up and how it's working, because it's just not her territory. She was in charge of pillaging these different cities and towns to gathering the treasure and then taking it and putting it on supply lines and those things going towards the castle. So she does eventually kind of give all this information up. But as they're doing this, now if you listen to the radio drama, this is what happens. You'll see, but this is what happens next. They're talking, and suddenly, out of nowhere, above them in the tower, Matter of fact, I'll put. Maybe I'm going ahead of myself. I'll probably put some pictures up of the tower. This was done in Tabletop Simulator. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have a whole other video just kind of highlighting this, zooming in, seeing the map and whatnot. And so I won't spend much time on that, but a couple pictures. But here they are. I mean, just pictures of the tower itself where they were meeting. Some of it's 2D, some of it's 3D. Anyway, as they're talking and the things are finally being divulged, at the end of the night, 6 giant black underdark spiders drop down. They're massive. These are very large creatures, all ambushing all the creatures. And I think this is going to have some repercussions if everybody lives. Like I don't know what's going to happen. If you listen to the radio drama, Jevin was there. Jevin knew where they were at, and there's a reason for that. But Jevin knew, and so he ambushed them there to assassinate Fulam. But what's interesting is that he was there for a while, and this is a confusing situation for Jevin, because he thought she was captured, but she seems to be sitting willingly at a table and talking. So this is a weird setup here. But regardless, he's there to do a job. So he brought the Dreife, and they fell down, and that's where we ended the night, the crescendo. And so we pick up this Friday coming up, and we start out immediately in battle. And we've got 6 giant spiders in that small little area there to execute Fulam. Of course, they're going to fight the other characters because they're just in the way, but they are there for Fulam only. And Storm was generous. I mean, like, as soon as they saw something kind of liquid just drop onto the table, Storm's battle senses went off. He tossed Fulam a sword. She kind of took it out, and then boom, the spiders erupted. And she kind of kicked herself away from the table. Chair fell over. She tumbled, got back up into a combat roll, and boom, just next thing you know, they're surrounded. So I think going forward, that's really all that happened. I mean, you're gone for a month. You're kind of spending a lot more time catching up, but tension is building, mistrust is building, though trust is forming between the characters in Fulam. Fulam, just because she's turned, doesn't mean she's, like I said, angelic now, and she's going to be helpful and all these things. She's still kind of guarded. Okay, that's construction stuff. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about this. I like I said, I'm in a new neighborhood, so every single house is being worked on. Anyway, so it's I think the next section is probably going to be tension filled, because look, you think about it. Here's a woman who's come in, who was part of the cult, and one of the things they accused her of is, what if she's a spy? Well, that's funny. Here she is. She's talking to us. All of a sudden, we're ambushed. That's going to be interesting, right? So, I mean, honestly, they think Fulam brought these people. So I think there's just going to be, and this is a good thing because I think it creates drama, but there's going to be mistrust, and I think Leosin's going to have a huge problem with this afterwards if everybody survives. I don't know. The campaign could end here. I never think, okay, we're going into Chapter 7 next. I don't know. I really don't know. So anyway, guys, that's it. That's the campaign diary. It's pretty short and quick. Hopefully, if you haven't watched it or listened to it, go to the radio drama, number 10 of Ice and Flesh. That sets up everything. But that was it. It was straightforward. I don't want to use mediocre in a negative term. It just was, nothing super excited happened. There was one moment I tried something new. I've always wanted to do this. It's kind of hard to do in a way, but when they left the Dragon Hatchery and they journeyed to El Terrell, I like to do, for lack of a better term, I like to do montage pieces during travel. A lot of times I will do them to music, and this time I did it to a piece of music that I had just purchased. It was from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's the last track, like track 43, 44. I wish I knew the title, but it was like 2.5, 3 minutes. And I narrated for 3 minutes to the music, them traveling to El Terrell, and the visions of Cricket in the glass orb reaching out, and Rezamir with her black sword, and all the things that were going on, and everybody kind of moving in slow motion as the horses are kicking up dirt and traveling across the countryside, passing Greenest, and the looks and the feeling everybody was having, because here is the enemy in our midst. Can we trust her? And Fulam was also thinking the same thing. Any one of these people could kill me at any moment. And I thought that worked really well for something that I did shooting from the hip. I always wanted to do that. I just fell in love with that track immediately. And that day before we played, I was like, you know, I really want to bring this in. I like doing that. When it comes to travel, I like musical interludes to help narrate things. And usually I find pieces of music that are a little bit smaller, maybe a minute and a half, maybe a minute 45. This one was 3. And I thought, as a DM, I got scared. I was like, oh gosh, do I really want to do this? Oh, can I narrate this for 3 minutes, 15 seconds straight? I did. I did okay from shooting from the hip. I think it worked. It's not something I would do all the time, but I just felt like it was the right moment because of all the mistrust, all the tension, and a lot of things are starting to get on the line here. And so I just wanted a little bit of that. Anyway, it worked. It was good. So anyway, that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. The next video is probably going to be something that I've already created. I don't know. I'm not going to say what it is. I don't know. I don't know what order I'm going to be doing all this stuff. It's probably another character introduction. We do play again this Friday. Probably have a little more to this next bit because there's a lot more maps, a lot of things that are on the oven right now cooking. So things should be a little bit different, a little more action-packed perhaps. And of course, the ongoing saga of having the enemy within your midst, even though they have converted. So, all right, guys, that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying tuned. I appreciate it. That's what this channel is. It's dedicated to Horde of the Dragon Queen right now and everything that's going on with Dungeons & Dragons. So, all right, guys, that's it. I will let you go, and I'll see you in the next video.